Good afternoon. Our group today will be presenting our reading seminar titled Reading for Success. Our group members include Ms. Farzani Yusuf, Ms. Jayantika Jewelry, Ms. Braspati Mathura, Ms. Joy Hari Paul, and Ms. Diana Singh. Next, I will be handing you over to my colleague, Ms. Jory, who will be doing our introduction.
Welcome, parents. Today's seminar focuses on the importance of reading and how we can support our children's literacy journey. Today, along with Ms. Farzani Yusuf, Ms. Brihaspati Mathura, Ms. Joy Harpal, Ms. Diana Singh, and myself, Ms. Jantika Jory, we'll be discussing the common reading challenges some students face, our intervention plan at school, and most importantly, how you can be a powerful partner in your child's reading success.
Alright, my name is Joy Harry Paul, and after reading this scenario, I had to identify some of the problems we are dealing with in the school, or some of the problems the children are facing with. Number one, the children are facing decoding difficulties. After the students read the passage, it is difficult for them to understand what is being read. Hence, the decoding problems. Now, as teachers, we all know that decoding strategies are essential for all readings, but we have to find the best ways to teach these strategies. I have identified reading fluency. The school is dealing with struggling readers, so they are having difficulty reading as fluent reading, and as such, they will have to do chunking and word parts, phonics, phonemic awareness, segmenting, blending, etc. And because of fluency, they are unable to read fluently. Other issue is comprehension. Since the students are unable to read fluently, it will be difficult for them to read and understand and comprehend what is being read. And thus, it will be a problem for them to answer questions in complete sentences. Lastly, the one last problem, limited vocabulary. Because of the lack of reading fluency, the children may have limited vocabulary, and this affects students' reading comprehension, as they are already struggling to understand and comprehend the meaning of words and text. More reading needs to be done in order for the children to improve their vocabulary skill, since limited vocabulary can affect students' academic success, and may lead to difficulties with language skills.
Hi there, my name is Ms. Jantika Jory, and I will be taking you through the aims and objectives of this seminar. This seminar aims to equip parents with knowledge and tools to support their children's reading development at home. By the end of this session, you'll be able to help following a few simple steps. Firstly, identify common reading challenges. Now, this is by gaining an understanding of difficulties like decoding, fluency, comprehension, and vocabulary that can hinder a child's reading progress. Secondly, learn effective strategies. You have to discover practical techniques to help your child overcome reading difficulties in a fun and engaging way. Promote a love of reading. Now, as parents, you have to explore ways to create a positive and encouraging reading environment that fosters your child's lifelong love of reading. Last but not least, build a collaborative team. Parents, you need to learn how to communicate effectively with your child's teacher to form a strong support system for your child's reading success. By working together as parents and educators, we can ensure that all Children, including those facing reading challenges, have the opportunity to thrive as readers. Thank you.
After it was observed that there are several reading issues among pupils of the school, a structured plan was formulated to address those issues and to help pupils to improve their reading abilities. Before we will get into strategizing, our structured plan includes 3 phases. The first phase is assessment of the problem. Now we plan on administering a universal screening test which tests pupils' ability in various literacy areas in terms of reading. It will also help us to gather the depths of which they're suffering in those areas. For instance, you may have a grade 1 child and a grade 6 child with the same reading issues. However, the level in which they have those issues might vary. So we will need to gather that information to know how we're formulating these strategies in a way that it's effective when we are administering it to the children. Also, another bit of information that we might receive from doing this universal screening test, we can also gather if a child might be having issues with their sight, with their hearing, or if a child may be even dyslexic. Now, when we gather that information, we're not medical professionals, but we can bring it up with the parents. We can make it known, have a meeting with the parents, and let them know these are our findings based from the assessment. We are in the case we may suspect if the child might be having issues with their sight and so forth, and the parents in turn can take the advice of the teacher. They would now go to a doctor, have that confirmed if such is the case. Also, we can gather from having discussion with the parent if this child is getting assistance at home, because if we're going to formulate a plan, we need to cover all grounds. We need to know if this child is having assistance at home as well, and we can gather information if this child needs one-on-one attention, if they could work in groups, and we can even gather if there are visual learner, auditory learners, and so those are the types of information that is necessary for us to gather before we formulate this plan. Okay, now we would have carried out our assessment and gathered information. The next step would be phase 2, formulating strategies. Now, once we have identified the areas that the pupils are struggling, we can now move forward to look at different things or different strategies we can use and implement in the classroom to help those children improve their reading. As well as in the strategies, we also the information would help us to formulate the ways in which we are going to deliver these strategies and to ensure that it's done effectively. For instance, the information gathered can help us to say whether the certain strategies can be delivered through multisensory media, in which we can cater for visual learner, auditory learners, or kinetic learners, as well as if we should be using differentiated instructions. So next we're gonna discuss some strategies to treat the identified problems. The first strategy we have is to treat decoding difficulties. So now decoding difficulties basically deals with pupils' inability to identify letter songs or putting letter songs together to make words. So some exercises we can do, we can start by building phonological awareness, in which we can have pupils do segmenting exercises where they identify a word, break it up into different letters, sound out those words, then put them back together. We can have also blending, where we pronounce the sounds of different letters, then we put those letters together and make words. We can also practice rhyming exercises where pupils can identify this beginning or ending song of words and identify all the words that are similar sounding. We can also practice morphology. Now, morphology dealing with identifying the different segments of words. This will not only help pupils to decode different words, it would also help them to pronounce it, improve their spelling as well. They would identify the different segments, the different parts of the word, and in employing these different strategies, we can use different forms of delivering it, employ different multimedia tools. You can use charts, videos, audios, fun games, all of which can be used to effectively deliver these strategies. Next, we will be discussing some strategies to improve reading fluency. So first, we can begin with repeated reading, in which you can have pupils read texts or books or passages even that they're familiar with, and let them read it several times. In doing so, they will be familiarized with the words, and every time they read that text or passage, they are going to read it more smoothly and at a faster pace. Another strategy we can implement, we have assisted oral reading. So we can pair the child to read with stronger or more gifted readers. For instance, you could pair them with another child that can read better. You can pair them with a group. They can read in groups. They could read in their class along with the teacher, because when they're reading around with stronger readers, they would be assisted in pronouncing words and they will be more familiarized. And if this is practiced frequently, eventually the child will improve. We also have the use of multisensory listening. For instance, listening to audio. We can have audio playing on a screen, and as that audio is being played, the child listens to what is said, and the text would be shown on the screen. So they would be listening and following with what is seen on the screen as well, and all of those things will be beneficial. Okay, next we'll be discussing some strategies to treat comprehension issues, basically what the children understand. First, we can do so by activation of prior knowledge. We can try to use different tools, different aids to try to help the child connect with the information they already know to a particular topic that is going to be taught. Next, we can use visual aids and visualization techniques, basically using charts, pictures, concept maps, and so forth. These things will help the child to organize that information that they would have already know and help them to basically connect to the topic, to better understand what the topic is about and how what they already know relates to that topic in a very distinctive and organized way. Next, we have the use of various questioning techniques. For instance, when we're teaching a topic to children, we can't just dive right into it. We need to ask our pupils questions. We need to have a discussion. We need to basically gather what they know or how much they know as it relates to that topic. Then in the process while we're teaching, we continuously check on our pupils by questioning them to gather how well they're understanding what has been taught or being presented to them thus far. Now, when we're closing our lesson, when we finish teaching that particular lesson, we also recap by questioning them to see what they have learned throughout that lesson. We can gather if they have fully grasped that lesson, if certain aspects needs to be retaught, and that would help them to have better understanding on topics being taught in the classroom. Then next we'll be discussing strategies to improve pupils' vocabulary. We can first begin by implementing the use of explicit vocabulary instructions, where when we're introducing unfamiliar words to our pupils, we can have them practice pronouncing the word correctly. Then we can ask them to find the meaning of that word and get familiarized with it. They can also look at using the words in different sentences, identify the part of speech, basically having an overall comprehension of what is the word and how do we use the word correctly. So when they're familiarized with these words, they can use them when they are communicating and use them in their writing as well. And overall, it will improve their vocabulary as well as how they read. Next, we also have using vocabulary games. We all know children learn through play. So we can implement fun games using flashcards, dices, all sorts of games, and all of those will help children to remember what they learn, remember what is taught. It would be fun for them. Children learn through fun activities. Because if we're going to sit in a classroom and we'll be talking all the time and not improvise other strategies, the children, they're going to get bored and they're going to lose focus. So an amazing way in helping them learn is to implement games, because it grabs their attention, their focus, and it helps them to learn. So the final stage of our three-phase structure plan includes assessing and recording pupils' progress throughout implementing different strategies and delivering them in the classroom. We will be recording the pupils' progress as well as assessing them throughout, basically to gather how much they have learned, if the method in which we're using to deliver these strategies to the pupils, if it's effective, if the pupil learning has improved to a point that certain strategies we don't need to use, or if it's not working, if we need to make adjustments to our strategies or take a different approach to help them to learn.
Good, Good afternoon, and my name is Brihaspati Mathura. This afternoon, I will be discussing steps parents can take in assisting their children at home with reading. Number one, model reading. Read to or with your children every day. Let them see you read for pleasure. Number two, parents can arrange books in each room of the house or create a reading corner with books of the child or children interest. Number three, teaching reading at an early age will promote language development. Children who read a lot will develop their speaking skills and learn that song that make up word. Number four, make reading a regular activity in your home. This will help to improve the child or children language ability, strengthens the relationship between parent and the kid. It will foster a lifelong love of reading as well as enhance imagination and creativity. Number five, teaching of phonemic awareness at an early age. This will help children to learn to read print since they need to know and become aware of how song and word work. This will help children to understand that words are made up of individual speech, song, or phonemes. A child that is good at phonemic awareness at an early age will be later successful at reading. Number six, teaching phonics to a very young children will help them to understand letter name and their songs. Children will also learn to identify and blend songs to make word. Number 7, parents listening to their child read a book they bring from school or a magazine they love. Even if he or she make mistake, parent can have them read it again or read it for the child or children, then have them read again. This kind of repeated oral reading help people become better readers. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Diana Singh, and I will be presenting on a brochure which includes steps on how a parent can assist their child in reading at home. Now, reading can be beneficial to a child, and it can also make a huge difference for this child as well. Now, if a parent reads with their child at least one time per day and ask them questions based on what they have read, then I am very sure that the child will be able to learn something from that. Now, there are some steps in which parents can take into consideration which will help them to assist their child with reading at home. Now, parents can start reading with their child at a very early age, which will help them, which will help the child to improve their language skills. Model reading. Now, parents can read to their child at least one time per day, and this will help the child to gain more interest for reading, and it will help them to develop an enjoyment for reading as well. Now, creating a library or a reading corner in your home with age appropriate books that a child finds interest in will also be beneficial for them, and they will be able to learn from something when they go there and pick up a book and start reading by themselves. Now, you can also make reading an everyday activity in your home. Get your child to read a book. You can also ask them questions based on what they have read, and this will also help them to gain more knowledge. And reading will also get to be something that they would like to do in their everyday life. Now, reading is extremely beneficial to a child's education as well as the bond that the parent shares with their child. And remember, children are made readers on the laps of their parents. Thank you.
In concluding today's seminar, we can safely say that reading opens doors to knowledge, imagination, and lifelong learning. By working together, we can create a supportive environment where every child can develop strong reading skills and lifelong love for books. We encourage you to ask questions and share your experiences. We are here to support you and your child on this journey. Thank you.